Oh, thanks, Joe. Yeah, we message about that would have been good. Ah, mateys, if you don't clap loud and hearty at the end of my set, I'm going to have you walk that plank. That's it. I'm going back to my normal voice. I just want to say thank you to Katie for inviting us to join her launch. It was really, really generous of her. And Joe, you've been a brilliant host so far. You'll be walking the plank later if you don't carry on the way you've been behaving. And yeah, Mark's having, so firstly, I suppose I'd like to say that my book is dedicated to my wonderful and very patient husband, Michael, and my beautiful daughter, Tara. But they're not here tonight because they don't like poetry. And then there's a bonus poem at the start of the book, which is dedicated to Mark, and it's my way of thanking him for putting up with me for the last 3 years. Paper boats for Mark Davidson. They were fragile, translucent, folded edges crisp and straight. His hulls held her poems, words of love, loss and grief, their weight made immense by the tremble of his hands. Crouched at water's edge, sand shifting beneath his feet, he fed them to the sea, placed on the apex of waves to float out fast. He looked across the grey expanse to where she lay sleeping deep, dreaming of patterned pages, embossed serpents' tongues. Off they tugged on morning moontide. He wished them safe passage, but did not see his red ink bleeding and rice paper dissolving before they reached the horizon. And that's for Mark. Bless him. So moving on, a few years ago I did some research into my family tree, and this poem sort of came out of one of the experiences whilst doing that, and it's called Gran's Biscuit Tin. I borrowed it from a cousin, hoping to add colourful leaves to a bare tree. On the base, Ingles Bakery claims creation, a family firm bred locally. Perhaps the crumbs of biscuits eaten long ago dusted the lips on faces in the pictures now nestled in its tarnished silver lining. Lid trimmed at the edges with dry, crackled tape, curling like autumn leaves in sepia, like the photos within, and topped with a scene, not Chocolate Box Cottage, but a fishing village, reminiscent of Clovelly, Lynmouth, or Hope Cove. I looked at the postcards inside and tried to find a connection, discovering one from my father, a young man on honeymoon. They travelled to Dunleary, not Devon, and from their room in the Carney Arms, they watched snow fall like confetti, blurring with white sails and sea spray in the bay. I traced the signature, follow the fancy scroll of his T and V. From my desk, the tin watches seasons pass like old friends. Now and then I leaf through the photos, hoping to put names to faces, examining expressions, noses and chins for family similarities, then peruse the back, still longing for a lightly leaded name. Thank you. Now, where are we going next? Yeah, there's a lot of poems. My family mean a great deal to me, and there's a lot of poems in this book that are for particular members of my family. And it's hopefully, if we don't go into lockdown, hopefully in 2 weeks, my godson's going to make his Holy Communion. And my niece made hers last year. And in the run up to that, I wrote this poem to her, and it's called Little Novice, for Freya. Bowl, wooden spoon, scales arranged on the bench like sacraments on the altar, flour, butter, eggs, the holy trinity of sponge, little novice at my side, nervous, excited, chatting about white dress, veil, what the cards could contain. Flour dusts the worktop as she teases it from the bag to the bowl, just half a spoon more. Clouds rise on transfer. Into another she measures silver sugar, golden butter, checks her curls in the oven mirror. She's a tight spring that unwinds with every revolution of the whisk. I crack eggs and she beats again, eyes gleaming. Spatula in hand, she gently folds in flour, figures of 8, like I've taught her before. We pray to Honore, the patron saint of baking cakes, frightened for the air that we don't want to scare. Buns need bubbles to rise. Thank you. And because I've read Freya's, the next one then is dedicated to my godson, Vinny. He was pretending one day to be Spider-Man and climbed up on the window and grabbed the curtain pole and it came out of the wall. And that story inspired this poem. So this is Spider-Man for Vinny, my godson. Stuck, limp but strong on the glass like a starfish, arms outstretched toward space, curtain pole combat stick ready, tiptoeing the sill, now a beach of wall plugs and plaster. Spider-Man impersonation, scaling the wall, swinging across the room on curtained webs, had not played out as planned, and your tears gave the game away. Sidekick mum spun you a ladder. Floored but resilient, you'll rewrite the script, play rock songs and dance. Tonight you will dream of ships, stars, outer space. Use my compass to find your way home. Thank you. Now, I'm trying not to always read the same poems, and I've never read this one before. It was inspired by a picture. Every month, the people in the cult get a challenge from Mark, which hopefully inspires them to write a new poem. It doesn't always work for me, but sometimes, you know. Anyway, this poem's the result of one of those, and I was given a picture of a woman diving off a diving board. And this is I Am Not Prepared. 1. I am caught, forever cruciform, against the blue suspended, clothed in virgin white, swimming cap borrowed, 3 paces taken, end of a pier, a vacuum. I did not freeze, stepped off, legs together, toes on point, arms outstretched, winged in flight, shudder snap. 2. I see the horizon, fly upwards, close my eyes, pinch my nose. I am not prepared for the salty sting of freezing water, crushing my lungs. 3. My downward rush stops, suspended again, floating in murky bubbles, skirt balloons, jellyfish legs. I am not prepared to break the surface. Thank you. And I've reached my last poem. So, ahar, my hearties, here we go. Oh, Joe. I read this last night at an open mic. Kathy Carson, who's here tonight, was the headliner last night and blew us all away spectacularly. but I was lucky enough to get a wee open mic slot, and I read this one and it went down quite well. So I've decided to read it again tonight. For any of the Britain's Got Talent watchers, you may have seen this lady. She's called Ursula Burns. She plays the harp, and Britain's Got Talent actually made quite a mockery out of her. But I had the pleasure of seeing her at a local venue before she'd gone on the show, and her performance that night inspired this poem, and it's dedicated to her. The world's most dangerous harpist, for Ursula Burns. She is Erin personified, her dress always grass green, long velour gown hugging voluptuous curves, with a slit up to the hip and plunging neckline revealing rounds of plump flesh. I suspect there may be a zigzag welt beneath those breasts, the scar of an imperial lion that tried to pull her apart when hearts were burned and harpists hounded, hung, hunted to near extinction. She is a survivor, and yet for many years she was caged, confined to culture, grew long nails to pluck, taken to entertain, set out in front of the gentry to be gawked at. Even now she still loses her head, plays traditional concertos instead of satiric comedy in the key the opposite of F. Her harp is cut from a single piece of willow, carved by skillful fairies, intricate unending patterns, cornucopia crown of foliage and flowers. Strings bestowed by Scottish unicorns, as soft as silk with dragon's strength, they shine in the darkness. Her hair, colours of autumn blaze, linen flax at nightfall, bronze brooches, waterfalls over shoulders, down her back, flows in meandering rivulets to her waist. She used to conceal its rarity under dull brown and burly black, not now. Now she stands on stage in a blood-red room, acting the fool, but she's no clown. Don't you know she's the world's most dangerous harpist? For the finale, she lies down, rolls and writhes, thrums the quavering harp between bent knees, to bring us all to a climax. Thank you. That's been me. It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
There, I muted myself.
Brilliant. Thank you